Hello, everyone. We are live. Thank you for coming to this live stream. This is the Broadway Blog's first masterclass live stream thing that we're doing, so hopefully everything goes well. I'm going to bring in our guest. Hello. This is Sidonie Smith, and I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, if you will, and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, my name is Sidonie Smith. You can call me Sid. All my friends do. And I'm on this live stream today from Berlin, Germany. This is my home. I'm from Miami, and I grew up as a string player, but as through a long chain of wonderful events, I ended up living my dream and doing musical theater, doing Broadway shows all over Europe. So I'm in the midst of the Corona crisis, like all of us here. But on a normal day, I'd probably be in the midst of an 8-show week doing a show that happens in New York, but somewhere in Germany, and doing it in German.
That's really cool. And today we're going to chat, or you're going to chat a little bit about social media for the actor. So very excited about that. And I think I'll come back on later and chat with you a bit about your career. But for right now, I'll let you take over.
Thank you so much, Claire. See you in a bit. So I just want to welcome you all again. I am super excited to be here. Social media is one of the things that I'm very passionate about because, like I said, I'm from Florida, but when, for example, Instagram started to come to the forefront, I was working in Vienna. And so I was looking for a way to remain visible and relevant and connected all over the world. And I did not realize that Instagram, this was 2011, so I didn't realize that Instagram was going to blow up like it did. But I was just trying to find a way to make really beautiful art and get it out there, get it to LA and New York and Hamburg and Zurich and all of the places that I couldn't be at the same time. And so social media has really been something that has been an adventure for me. I have learned a lot along the way. Those of you who might know me from back in the day know that I was very, very active on YouTube, and I'm coming back now, and I'm so, so excited about what I picked up along the way. So let me just share with you. I put down 6 tips that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully I don't run over my time today because I really want to share from my heart. So in this masterclass, I want you to know that the things that I share with you are things that have worked for me, but take them as suggestions and not rules. I'm a person with perfectionist tendencies. And so if I hear someone give a master class and say, these are the 6 rules, these are the 6 things you have to follow to be successful on the internet, I will write them down and I will do them. I will do them every day. But that is actually not how it works. That's not how I've seen success. And so here's my theory. Follow me here. When people ask me, hey, Sid, how did you build a career in Europe? I could tell you how I got here, that, I used to play the viola and I played a whole lot. Well, I still play the viola, but I used to play the viola professionally and I played a lot of shows from the orchestra pit, and I got recruited to a conservatory in Germany. And, after that, I worked in my first contract and I didn't stop working. I could tell you that, but actually that chain of progression doesn't exist anymore, and you can't do it that way. And so what I want to do is inspire. When I tell my story, I want you to know, I want you to kind of blow the walls down on what's possible for you so that you can make your own rules. And it's the same thing with social media. There are best practices. There are things that tend to work really, really well, but they came out of inspiration. They didn't come because, it was chiseled in stone before the beginning of time. It's because someone was like, you know what, I feel like doing it this way. I feel authentically driven to share a little bit too much of myself. And next thing you know, it was a trend. And so that's where rules come from. So keep that in mind. So notes in front of me. Don't get tied up in the perfection. Learn what you can. Try things out, and what doesn't work for you doesn't have to work for you. So One of the things that I love to share with people is that you're allowed to share the other sides of you. We sometimes, as artists, as actors and professionals, we really want to um, portray the most curated, professional picture of ourselves. But what I've come to find is that authenticity is also professional. So feel free to share other things about you that make you you. Are you very, very nerdy? Do you also have your own band? Do you play an instrument? Are you a Disney fan? Are you a fan of some other franchise that you don't mind talking about? And no, you don't have to plaster it all over your feed per se, but those kinds of things are beautiful in stories because I, as the consumer, as your follower, want to know who you are. I definitely want to know what you're doing. I definitely want to know what show you're in or, what TV show you booked. But the thing that keeps me coming back for more is knowing that you really like SpongeBob SquarePants. Do you know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to share a lot more about who you are. And that changes over time. Those of you who've been following me for a long time know for a long time I did Disney covers on YouTube, and I don't do that anymore. And I was on a very public weight loss journey or a fitness journey, and people followed that. It's okay if it morphs and changes because that's natural, that's authentic, that's normal. So please know that when you're sharing things on social media, there is a principle. We'll call it give and ask. I don't want to say give and take because we are giving of ourselves. We're providing value, we're providing entertainment, laughs, reasons to think about the world in a different way. But then we're also putting things out there that we want people to engage with. I wrote a new song, please check it out and share it with your friends. Or I am headlining in a new show, please come to it. Here is where you can buy the tickets. So that is the ask portion, but make sure that you're also giving. I am more likely to check out the link to buy tickets to your show if I feel like you on the regular show up and provide value to me, whether that value is a quick tip about, mascara or just a laugh, just an insight, a little bit of insight into you. So don't forget to give and ask. This is a really important point right now. A lot of people have expressed discomfort and awkwardness about showing up on social media because of what's going on in the world right now, because of current events, because of politics, because of the election, because of Black Lives Matter, because Corona, all of the things. I want to encourage you that you're allowed to show up and not know. You can take your time and decide what you have to say, but sometimes what I have to say is that I'm working through this too. And that's enough. And that is so authentic. That's so vulnerable. And that's really, really captivating. So if you find yourself in the position that you're like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want people to, I don't want to make my platform all about a certain issue that's important to me, but not what I want to portray. You can always show up and say, hey, I'm thinking about these things and I just don't know. That is totally, totally allowed. Okay, so what I want you to take away from this second point is that authenticity is professional. You don't always have to be, singing a ballad or, sharing your monologue to be professional on social media. Show up as you are. So, can you hear my pages turning? That's it. Okay. I want to quickly give you an anatomy lesson of Instagram because there are people out there who I know feel like you have to put something online. And I do understand you want to be present, even if social media is not your favorite thing, right? You want to have something up there, but you don't have to torture yourself to do that. So let's just talk about the different places you can show up on Instagram and how they affect each other and how you can maybe do a little shortcut if you don't like all of the facets of Instagram. So you have your main feed. Those are your squares, right? And you have your highlight section, which is above your squares, and you have your stories up to the left. I hope no, now I'm pointing up to up to the left, where your stories are. And those are the main areas. And you also have Instagram TV. And up in your stories, you also have the possibility to go live. These are things that you all probably know. However, what a lot of people forget to do is that they can repurpose. And I'm not talking about pulling out old, stale leftovers. It's your work. You know, it's not referential if it's you. Composers quote themselves all the time. And so you'll find me, for example, um, pulling from my captions to go live. You know, what was the most important part of my caption today? I feel like I want to show up live today, or I feel like I want to go in depth in a story. I'm pulling from something I've already said. If you're paying very close attention, you can see that I do this all the time. So if you're breaking down the anatomy of your Instagram page, think of, this is how I think of it. Take it and do with it what moves you, right? I think of my feed itself, the squares, as the magazine cover. I do share things that are important. My captions come from my heart. But as far as the 5 seconds someone decides, or 3 seconds people have in which to decide if they want to follow you or not, I'm creating a look that says something about who I am. For me, that does bring in color scheme and things like that, but I don't think it's that important. So if you're racking your brain about making sure that your colors match, it's really cool, but it's not super necessary to have an Instagram page that really has impact and that draws people in, tells them who you are, and makes you more bookable. So my magazine cover is right. It's got a lot of big hair. I make sure that I'm very recognizable. You won't get a whole row that doesn't have my face in it, because I do want people to know whose page they're on when they're there. And that is the first impression. So the first impression that I want to give when you get to my page is that you're looking at a positive person, you're looking at a person who does motivational content, and someone who's on stage. That's what I want to come across. And so feel free to take a look at your magazine cover and decide, what do you want to say? What do you want to say within 3 seconds when someone scrolls by your page? And know that that doesn't mean that all your pictures have to be professionally taken. It doesn't mean that you need to face tune the crap out of everything. Just decide what you want to say and say it. Okay. So if the feed, if the boxes are your magazine cover, then I would say your highlight, the little circles above, your highlights are the table of contents. These are the things that I want people to know they can look into a little bit more deeply about me. So it could be that you have a highlight about your puppies. It could be that you have a highlight about your original music, because perhaps you do Broadway, but you also really want people to know that you're writing all the time. It could be that you have a highlight about your fitness journey. It could be that you have a highlight about your family or some issue that is very near and dear to you. So imagine if you open that magazine cover and you have your title of content, or your table of contents, that would be your highlight reel straight across. And on the chance that you don't know how the highlights work, they come from your stories. So your stories up to the left, I got it now. Your stories up to the left are available for 24 hours and then they disappear, but you can archive them into highlights. And it takes a little bit of doing, but not that much. And it's a great way to just kind of give a big picture of who you are, what you want people to take away if they decide to spend more than 3 seconds and decide to spend 3 minutes. I think that some of my favorite highlights from my table of contents are my motivation highlight and a singing highlight. I just have a whole highlight reel of me warming up for shows. It's not all perfect, and that's okay because I'm not always perfect. And so feel free to play there. You can change them. It's no big deal if you put up a highlight and you're like, I don't want that there anymore, or I've changed my mind. Take it down. It's like makeup. You can wash it off. Right. And so if you've got your cover and you've got your table of contents, I would say that your stories are the articles. That's where people really get to know the nitty gritty you. That's where I show up, straight out of bed or right after my workout and just share what is spontaneously on my heart, what I'm thinking right now, where you get to know me, like the me, not just the, most presentational version of me. You get to know me in my stories because that's when I show up and tell you what has inspired me today. Yesterday, I got on there and I shared what hurt my feelings today. I'm really, really real in my stories, and you're allowed to be. It's still professional. It is still a way of showing the roundness, the fullness of who you are. And if you are nervous about being too vulnerable on your stories or oversharing, consider this. Consider sharing from your heart and not sharing from your wounds. I am an open book, especially when it comes to sharing things that I have worked through, that I have seen healing in, that I have talked through, that I've resolved, that I've forgiven. I feel like then I have something of help to offer. I can offer something of value. So I'm not saying that you share the thing that keeps you up all night and has you crying, that you haven't quite worked through yet. Work on it. That's totally human. Work on it. But the things that you can offer the world are things that you've worked through, things that you have seen the light on, things that you have just a bit of positivity to offer people, because everybody loves a good underdog story. Everybody loves to see you overcome. So feel free to share from your heart rather than sharing from your wounds if that is something that scares you about being vulnerable on the internet. So, magazine cover, table of contents, articles up in the story. And of course, if you click on the table of contents, it's like flipping to that section of the magazine and they can get to know you a little bit more and read the articles. Awesome. Going back to my repurposing point. Okay, because I mentioned the example of pulling from one of my captions and going live, you can do that in any way. So if you're the person who absolutely hates stories, they're really, really awkward for you, but you do want to show up sometimes, pull from something else that you've said. If you do not love photography or you don't want a feed full of your mug, I understand. Not everybody wants to see their own face, 16 times in a row. And say you're super quick-witted and you love the Twitters, take a screenshot of something fantastic you said on Twitter and use that as a photo. I love those. I feel like I'm more moved by people quoting themselves from Twitter to Instagram than by people quoting other folks by posting memes. I think that's really entertaining too, but I'm paying attention to you when you're showing me what you've said on another platform, which is also, it's not a bad idea to connect platforms in that way. So know that you can repurpose, know that you can quote yourself and pull from other areas in order to create content. You don't have to feel like, oh, every single day I need to write a brand new book in order to be relevant on the internet. The things you've had to say yesterday are still relevant. The things you had to say 3 weeks ago can be repeated. I've actually been known to repeat a complete caption that I've used before because it's still relevant. And what you can't forget is that we are on this internet and we are seeing so much stuff. We are consuming so many things. It is not necessarily redundant. When you repeat yourself, there's somebody seeing it for the first time. You'll see it also in business. A lot of times you'll read from entrepreneurs that you have to put your offer out there 7 times before people even realize that you're offering something, that you have something to sell. So do not fall into the trap of, oh, I already said it, I'm going to bore people, I'm going to annoy people. It's fine. The people who are to follow you will follow you. Anybody who gets annoyed, they can move along. No big deal. I mean, we get annoyed with things on the internet and it doesn't hurt anything. You unfollow and you move along. It's no big deal. So feel free to quote yourself. Feel free to repurpose, pull from the things that you've already put on the internet. Time is precious. The things you say are precious. So say them again. Say them in another part of the anatomy of Instagram. Good. All right. Numbers. So one of the biggest questions I inevitably get is, how do I increase my followership? How do I get more followers on Instagram? Here's the thing, and social media has changed, um, but vanity metrics are not the only thing. I have a story. So 6 or 7 years ago, I took a break from the HO Week Life and I moved to LA, and I did an intensive on social media. I moved in with a group of YouTube gurus and stars, and I lived like them. I breathed like them. I learned the business. I learned how to create beautiful content that people will watch on the internet. And I'm so grateful for that time. One of the things that I noticed about myself is that I am ambitious and I did not have the appreciation for my followership that I should have. And this was so frustrating to me. Now when I look back, I was growing at a great rate, but I was hanging with people who, one of my friends hit 100 million views on YouTube while I was there. And I was like, and I would put all of my effort into a video and then come away with 16,000. And I was distraught. It wasn't viral. All of my work is for naught. But that was 16,000 clicks, 16,000 people, and at the same time, I was trying to grow on Instagram. And there definitely was a time when I'm at about 14,000 followers right now, which is, it's definitely a good group of people. But, if I were to waste my time comparing with other folks out there, I might think, oh, there's nobody there. What am I doing out here? There was a time when there were 38. But guys, 38 people were paying attention to what I had to say. And I got so discouraged and so trapped in this cycle of nobody's watching what I'm doing, nobody's seeing. Whereas if I had leaned into the gratitude that 38 people cared what I said today, I would have provided those 38 people with more value. So I really want to encourage you to super zone in and value the people who are there, because they're important. They're 38 individuals. I'm in my bedroom right now, and so I'm trying to imagine if 38 people were standing here listening, hanging on my every word. I would be so grateful because I'm seeing them for what they are. 38 individual humans. I want to encourage you to exercise gratitude for the people who are paying attention. The ones who are paying attention and not following or not clicking, don't be mad at them either, because you do it too. We all do it. The internet is just so saturated that we take things in passively all the time. And I cannot be the only one to have had the conversations where someone knows what's up with you, knows where you've been, what you've been up to, and you're like, do you even follow me? And they're like, I don't know. But I somehow am following. I'm following along. Do not be discouraged. People know, people are watching, people are taking you in. The important people, they're all important people, but the folks out there that you are hoping will write you a check, they see you too. They might not follow you, and it's not really, don't take it personally. It's not a rejection. It's just how the internet works. There's so many things that I take in on the daily, and I think, I got to get back to that person and congratulate them. And I would say 70% of the time I do. And that's a pretty good, that's pretty good numbers. But 30% of the time, there are people that I want to send condolences to and congratulations to and my love to, and I just don't get around to it because life. So know that numbers aren't everything. Keep showing up. People are listening. People are watching. And please keep providing value and answering the people who are there. Love on the people who are there. On the flip side of that, here are some quick tips that will help you grow your community, because at the end of the day, we just want a really, really beautiful community, right? I think that going live is one of the best ways to grow awareness that, of what you're doing, that you exist. And I highly recommend going live with other people. Going live with other people helps you cross-pollinate a little bit. It reminds friends of yours, supporters of yours, colleagues of yours who don't already follow you, but are aware of you, that they need to click follow. So collab, and this is not a bad time because there's so many people who in the past wouldn't have had time to collab, and they have time now. People have time now. Go live, get brave. I know so many of you are good on camera just because it's the nature of the beast. Don't feel like you have to have something profound and hilarious and groundbreaking to say. Decide what you want to talk about or not, and just press live and go live. I also want to encourage you to share and shout out in order to build community. Now, one of intentions are important. So one of the things I wanted to say is, yes, it will result in more people seeing you, but get obsessed with supporting people. Just get obsessed with supporting people. If someone comes out with a new shoe line and you love it, authentically share about it. Tag them. They're probably going to repost it and people will see that you did it. And at the same time, you are sowing, because it's all the principle of sowing and reaping. Really get obsessed with loving, supporting people who you think may see it and people who may not see it. Sharing and shouting out is some of my favorite stuff to do on the internet. You'll always see, at least once a day, me talking about someone I think is awesome or some product that I think is awesome, and usually some entrepreneur that I think is awesome, because I love the bravery that's involved in launching out and starting a business. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say on the numbers game. Go live, get brave, collaborate with people, reach out. If you reached out to people before who said no, they likely have more time now, try again. Know that what you're doing is providing value for the people who are watching and also for the strangers passing by, and know that your numbers are not necessarily a reflection of the people you are touching or the people who are aware of what you are doing. All right. Okay. Oh, I got a race here. I'm getting close to my half-hour mark. This is a quick tip. And it also goes along the lines of ways to please the algorithm, ways to pop up a little bit higher. Use new features. Instagram always rewards the people who use the new features. Do you remember when lockdown first started worldwide and there was a stay home sticker? And for weeks, if you pasted that little stay home sticker on your story, it was pushed to the beginning of the story. So anybody who followed you was seeing you first. That's not a mistake. When Instagram puts out a new thing, they want it to be used. Use it. Whether it's a new pencil, if you feel inspired to here's a perfect example. When the day that you were allowed to go live with other people, I noticed, oh my goodness, going live puts you on the story reel, but going live with somebody puts you at the top of it. Pay attention to those things. And whenever you see that little Instagram story pop up where you can see what Instagram itself has posted on its story, it's always a new feature. Check it out. If it's something that speaks to you, use it. It'll push you to the top. Great. All right. This is my last thing, because I know that's what a lot of you are here for. People often ask me about what my favorite apps are. What do I use to make the gram very, very pretty? And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about them. I don't think it's the most important thing on the planet, but I do enjoy social media, and I especially enjoy Instagram. And so here are some things that make it easier for me to create the aesthetic that I love and the environment that I love on my platform. So number one is Spacey. It's an app. I actually have the free version, which is a website. It is apps4lifehost.com. That's apps number 4 lifehost.com, and it helps you with your captions so that everything doesn't run together. So I am a fan of the long form caption. I don't do it every single time, but it's so much easier to read a long caption if it's broken up and you have line breaks. And sometimes you will use your notes app and you still don't get the line breaks that you want so people can see what you're saying. I mean, maybe you're even posting poetry and it's important that the format is exactly how you intended it. Head over to Spacey, the app, or appsforlifehost.com. And however you type it in, the spacing that you use, whether you're putting emojis at the end of the line or not, it will save your caption with the proper spacing. Love it. It's a godsend. All right. Number 2, one of my favorite apps ever, especially for my stories and also for my feed, is Video Leap. I find that I tend to pop on video. I do like photography, but I like just being myself. I like showing people who I am. And so I do use a lot of video, whether in my stories or on my feed. And Video Leap just, I can do just about anything I want to do with Video Leap. I can add music, I can cut and rearrange, I can place photos on top of video, I can stack, and I used the free version of Video Leap for 2 or 3 years very, very happily. I only invested in the pro version this year. I can highly recommend the free version. And why did let's see, I think I upgraded because I wanted to be able to, I wanted to be able to stack more than 3 layers. And you can't do that with the free version. And so I was like, yeah, for these few dollars, no problem. I'm gonna invest and use this app that has really, really been good to me. So Video Leap. And if you're looking for something similar, InShot is also a great app. Video Leap and InShot. My third favorite app is called Quick. It is associated with the GoPro camera series, but you do not have to use it with your GoPro. I haven't had a GoPro in several years now, and I use Quick all the time. It's spelled Q-U-I-K. There's no C in it, and it does so much of the beautiful video editing work for you. I love it, love it, love it. You can control how your videos are edited, or you can just throw several clips in and it makes something pretty. I tell you, it is one of my secret weapons. People ask me all the time, oh, when you write a new article, how is it that you're making such a pretty announcement? I literally take pictures of the article from 4 different angles. I screenshot myself or I screen record myself scrolling through the article, throw that all in quick, like a blender, mix it up, and it puts music on top and filters and in transitions, and it's all pretty. I shrink it down to 15 seconds or 30 if I want to say 2 things on my story, and I put it on the interwebs. Quick is my jam. So, preview. Preview is the next one on my list. And if you are into creating a feed that has a color theme or some kind of visual theme and you want to plan ahead, Preview is a great app that lets you place different pictures in your squares and see how it will look. If that part of the aesthetic is important to you, check out Preview. There are several apps that do it, but this is free. And I don't use it all the time, but it does come in handy if I want to make sure, for example, that I don't have too many pictures in a row that are all really tight shots. I like to vary my shots. I like to be full body sometimes. I like to be, obscured, maybe a really, really tight shot of my eye or something like that, and have bust shots as well. And so popping them into Preview, which is free, allows you to see in advance if you're going to end up with 6 photos in a row of you doing a selfie with your head cocked to the side. Yeah. So Preview. And the last one on the list, this should have been at the top, is Lightroom. As far as color correction, as far as editing, I love a Technicolor rainbow sort of a feel on my feed. And so if not everything I wear is purple and pink, but if I want that kind of a hue cast, I would drop my photo into Lightroom and take a look at some of the presets that I have purchased. There are presets that come on the app itself, but I have purchased presets, and find the one that makes me feel like the photo is most beautiful and that it will really, really fit into the color theme that I have going. Lightroom is another favorite of mine. All that to say, creating something that is cohesive is only important if it's important to you. But I wanted to make sure that I did tell you some of the practical things I do to, yeah, make Instagram a really, really pleasant experience for me working on it and for the people who stop by and click follow, as I hope you do follow me on Instagram. I hope that you were able to take something from my mini masterclass. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I hope that came across as well. Just know that you can do this a plethora of ways. Allow yourself to find the rhythm that works for you. Know that it's a journey. You don't have to hop on the platform tomorrow and have it all figured out. Find your own rhythm. It takes time, but it can be really, really fun if you let it.
Yay! Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Okay, so first of all, someone did a little heart.
Hi, Sina.
Thank you so much. The apps are actually, I do use some of those apps that you were talking about, which is interesting. But Lightroom is like one of my favorites, especially since it's free on the App Store. So that's obviously always nice. Thank you so much for coming on here. I wanted to chat a little bit about how you wound up in Germany, of all places, doing theater.
Well, I didn't plan it. One of the things that I love to share with people is about following the open doors, and that has been my secret to success. I had a plan. At first, I was on scholarship studying violin and viola at university, and as my interests changed, as my goals changed, I thought, okay, great. I'm going to eventually get to grad school studying musical theater properly, and then I'll go to New York. That's what I thought was going to happen when an opportunity opened up for me to study at a conservatory in Hamburg. And when this opened up, I found out that the conservatory was within the biggest production company, the biggest producer of musicals in Europe. And I thought, I cannot let this go. I even found a voice teacher that was just my dream. Like, she was my soulmate voice teacher. It did mean that in 3 weeks, I needed to sell all of my things and move to Hamburg and start school in German. But I did it because it was the most golden open door. And I think that's been, looking back, I think that was my big break. Even though it wasn't a job, it was just the opportunity. And so I want to encourage you, if you have a plan and it's awesome, do not be afraid to let go of that plan for something that's more awesome. So I hopped over there. I said hopped like it wasn't, it was hard. It was a lot of work. I needed to learn German. I needed to learn it fluently and without an accent. I needed to overcome a lot of culture shock and, financial challenge. It was a lot, but it was absolutely worth it. I was at that conservatory for 2 semesters, and then I booked my first job, and I've been working in Germany and Austria and Switzerland ever since.
It just goes to show that Broadway is not necessarily the only place that you can do professional theater, which is it's a big thing. And I feel like people are always like, if I'm on Broadway, that means I'm professional, which is just, there's regional theater in the US. There's, obviously there are tours all over Europe. There's the West End. There's tours all over Australia, Germany. There's so many places you can go. So
all over Holland, all over France, all over Spain. Broadway is not a street, is what I've come to find out. And it's not just because I know that when I walk into a casting team or an audition for example, Tina the musical, it is going to be the same 5 people, whether I'm auditioning in New York or in London or in Utrecht in Holland or in Hamburg in Germany. It is the Broadway show. It's just that you have to have one more skill of speaking another language on top of it. And there is so much excellence. I wrote an article pretty recently about how the corona crisis has affected professional theater everywhere. Not being in New York does not mean not having made it. And it's amazing. New York is amazing. And I'm really proud to have a New York credit or two on my resume too, because I love the city. But know that there are opportunities all over. There are opportunities all around that may not be the most obvious one, but they are fulfilling ones, they are lucrative ones, and they are really, really adventurous, exciting ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for chatting, and thank you for all of your tips. Make sure you follow Sidonie. We have the Instagram sliding down on the bottom, but we'll put it elsewhere in the comments and stuff like that. My dog is currently sitting with me, and I think the bug guy is here. Come here, come say hi.
Oh my goodness, hello. Hello.
I know, you're a big scary dog. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have to chat later, and okay, he wants to leave. He says, oh, and my light just died.
Oh no.
But thank you so much, and everyone make sure you follow her and check out all of her stuff. And yeah, thank you.
It was a pleasure. See you guys on the internet.
Bye.
Bye.